Welcome to the Honest Field Guide podcast, a weekly show dedicated to winning in entrepreneurship. I'm your host, JinJa Birkenbeuel. I'm the CEO of Birk Creative, a leadership, brand strategy, and visual identity agency dedicated to helping scale brands and assist with their adaptability with the market. On my show, you get to eavesdrop in on intimate conversation with business leaders and inspired entrepreneurs, designed to give you tips and strategies so your own business can thrive. Subscribe and join me each week for laughter, inspiration, and honest stories. Hey everybody, I'm JinJa Birkenbeuel. Welcome to my show, the Honest Field Guide podcast, recording live for the 2024 Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. I am so glad that you're here. Thank you for coming to my show. You could be anywhere in the world, but you've decided to come here and listen to my show, the Honest Field Guide podcast. And I am so incredibly excited about that. I'm just so thrilled. Please leave a review on my show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I would love a 5-star review, of course. The more people that review my show and leave a positive impact, the more people can listen to my show, and of course, my guests get attention there. So, Sundance. This is a wonderful place. I have not been to the Sundance Film Festival since 2003, back when my music was in a song in a film called All the Real Girls, which was David Gordon Green's second film of all time, and he won a huge Sundance Award for this film. And then the next time I was here was in 2004 with Gabe Rhodes and Scott Prendergast with their big, giant short film called Anna's Being Stalked. And it was a film that the late and great Robin Williams loved, and they won a huge award for that film as well. We had 2 songs in those 2 movies. Sundance was a lot different in 2003 and 2004. I mean, Grant and I, my husband, my songwriting partner from my band Utah Carol, we were walking around Sundance, hanging out with Robert Redford, all the movie stars. It was like a whole different vibe. The corporate influence back then was Robert Redford. That was the corporate influence back then. He was the liaison to all things, in the Hollywood industry. Now it's very different. Now there's a lot of really large brands here. It's a really tightly well-run machine. But the one thing that hasn't changed about the Sundance Film Festival is the opportunities to meet really smart and interesting people in the most random of places. It's like, that's the one thing that hasn't changed. You have so many opportunities to meet people that could change your life. And I am really pumped because I am here with Alex Lora, and he is a Spanish film director. He just was awarded the 2024 Sundance, the short film Grand Jury Prize for his new film, The Masterpiece, which is amazing. I have not had the chance to see it, but I've seen the blurbs. I've read about it. I heard about it from his wonderful wife, Erin, who I happened to meet in the hallway, which is how I even met Alex in the first place. And I also even met your assistant, who's sitting over there having a business call. Alex's films are marked by complex narratives, which tackle social issues. Alex has entered hundreds of film festivals and received multiple awards and nominations around the world. Alex is also a Fulbright scholar, has worked internationally as a script analyst, editor, cinematographer, writer, and director. Alex is the recipient of 7 Emmys for his work as a director, producer, and editor during the last 10 years of the CUNY TV show Nueva York, right? So Alex, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here with you.
I'm so happy you're here too. So tell us, first of all, Alex, please tell me, what is The Masterpiece about?
The Masterpiece, it's a short film about class and racism overall, And it tells the story of a brief encounter between Leo and Diana, who are a kind of a wealthy couple that go to a recycle center, a recycle spot to leave a broken TV, because they think that they have this conscious, they use a Tesla, And there they meet Salif and Youssef, father and son, who are 2 immigrants. And she kind of feels pity and invite them home to give them more junk besides the TV, that she ends up giving the TV to them instead of recycling it, right? And I think once they are there, the audience might find some unsettling situations between these 4 characters plus the wealthy couple's son. And at some point, she realizes that the immigrants might have something she wants, and I don't want to.
No spoilers. Oh my God, it sounds mysterious and amazing.
It's mysterious, and yeah, and I think it's thought-provoking. Yeah.
It's thought-provoking?
I think
Okay,
so.
so this is the masterpiece. I mean, I can't wait till I have the opportunity to see it.
I'll
If
give
you-
you a link right after.
I would love that. Oh my God, I'm gonna get a like. I mean, the thing about Sundance is there's so much to do here, and there's so many things to be distracted by, beautiful things to be distracted by. The films sell out so fast here. Like, you just cannot, I mean, you're just like desperate to see certain movies and you can't get in, especially movies like yours, The Masterpiece, which of course now, I mean, it's impossible, right? Because, you know, tell us what happened. So your film, The Masterpiece has been picked up. I mean, you won the award yesterday. You found out yesterday, but your film was signed the day before. Talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been crazy. You know, it's very exciting to be at Sundance, but on the other hand, we are independent filmmakers, you know, so we need support from third parties to kind of keep doing what we want. Even just the fact of coming here is very expensive. So the day before the festival started, Movistar Plus, which is a media company kind of well known in Spain, reached out saying, "Hey guys, sorry that we didn't reach out to you earlier because we contacted them like a month ago, but I think we have a deal here. But you gotta put our logo and the credits in the piece, you know, because if in Sundance it does not screen with that, we don't have a deal." And then I was like, well, you know, you are calling me from Spain. By the time it's 5 p.m. in LA, it's gonna be 8 a.m. There's not gonna be, you know, time that they're gonna wake up at 7 and read the email by 8, accepting
Exactly.
a DCP to play
Exactly.
the day after. I mean, this is you know, this does not make sense. Still, I prepared the DCP just in case. And it was when it was around 6 a.m. in LA, the guy from the print department contacted and they said, "Yeah, sure, Alex, and that's the new DCP." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so good."
And so how did it feel the next night? What exactly were you doing the next night when you found out that your film won the Grand Jury Prize for short films? Like, what happened?
It was a roller coaster of emotions.
Really?
Yes.
Because your wife was with you at that point. She hadn't left yet, right?
We were all together.
Oh my gosh, wow.
I mean, we were missing Sandra and Luis, who are the main producers of the short film, and Luis is also a little bit who created the seed
Sure.
of the whole project.
Okay.
So we were missing them, but you know, he was working, she was with the baby, they could not come, and they were missed. But the rest of the production team was there. The actors could not make it either.
I mean, so did you have any idea you were going to win this award? I mean, what happened here?
No,
Like,
for me, the prize was making the short film because I finished.
That was the prize?
Yes. I finished another feature film and it was kind of a tough job.
Right.
And I just needed a breather, something that I could have fun with, you know, make it with friends, these kind of things. So once that other feature, which, you know, it's Unicorns, you can watch it on filming and you're in Spain. I don't know about the international distribution.
and I want to ask you about that later, actually, about Unicorn, but I'm just, you know, I feel like I was talking to, and he is your assistant, right? Is it your assistant?
Yes,
right?
yes.
What's your assistant's name?
Christian.
Christian, that's right, Christian. Christian said it was a complete shock. You had no idea. It was like seemed like it came out of the blue, which is beautiful.
It was. I mean, to be honest, we had some hopes that we would win the international award.
An international award,
we were
right?
aiming for that, and when we heard international award goes for the Stag, so you know, I was like, it's not for us, you know. So I approached the team and I said, "Hey, I don't want to see anyone sad. You know, we are here, we're having a great time. So please, everybody happy."
Oh my God.
And then they said, you know, U.S. Short Film Award for this or short film. And I thought that was it. And then it was a kind of a moment, you know, and they were like, "Oh, and we are missing, you know, the most important award, the Grand Jury Prize, right?"
Yes.
And we, at that point, when they said that we were not paying attention.
You weren't even paying attention.
Because, you know, we felt like, yes, we're out of the...
Are you serious?
And
Oh my
suddenly, we were like, oh, and they start saying things that kind of, you know, when they say like, it's difficult to make a movie in 90 minutes, so imagine in 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, our movie is 20 minutes. And then right after that, like 15 seconds, they said the title, and we were like, we started shaking, crying.
were shaking and
Yeah,
crying.
we didn't know what to do.
Oh my
You know, and they
God.
pushed me, like, you have to go there. You have to go to the States. And I was like, what am I going to say? I'm going to start crying in the States. And I was actually crying, trying not to, you know, not to show it. And I didn't even know you know, because sometimes you prepare something, I had nothing prepared.
You had nothing prepared?
Just trying to thank everybody, so it was a mess.
Did you miss somebody? You missed somebody that you should have thanked, right?
I mean,
you got your wife, right?
I think
you
my
got
wife,
your wife and your
my
children,
kids,
your mom and dad, and all those people?
yes.
Okay, good. At least you got that.
The
So
producers that were not there, all these people were there. But then I was like, my friends, you know, and my friends, it's kind of
it's big.
It's big, and I would have loved to say some more names there, but it's fine.
Well, you know, there's always other opportunities to do that. You know what I mean? Like you can do like a TikTok and an Instagram, and you can do a LinkedIn. So I just want to read what they said about the film, because I was actually, I feel like I read something in here, and it was something really exciting about what they said. I mean, they said that there was just some very special things about your film that were very different from the other films that were submitted. But let me come back to that. All right, so I also want to understand, so you're a writer, and you've actually written your first film, right? You wrote your first film, but this one, what made you decide to say yes to directing and producing this film? Like, what happened that you said, I know you said a minute ago, you know, I needed a break from this long narrative I just worked on, but like, you probably have choices, right? So how did this film end up working out?
I mean, Luis Quiles is a good friend, not only a good friend, he's my neighbor. When I'm in Barcelona, I still have that little apartment there, you know, it's just super small, but it's good for us when we go to visit with the kids to stay there. He lives like 1 minute walking distance, so literally, even less, you know. So we met in 2007 in the film festival circuit, and since then, you know, we've been in contact. He's a very successful guy, you know. Now he has a big TV show for Netflix, and I don't know, when he had this idea, we were talking about it, and he was like producing another film that we didn't find the money, and I wrote that one with my friend Alfonso Amador. And then I was like, you should contact Alfonso Amador to co-write it. So they co-write it together. And the idea was that Luis would make this film. But then we were talking, and he was like, Alex, you know what, I'm super busy, you know, and I cannot do this because of the TV show. And I think this tackle exactly the social issues you like. So I don't know, what do you think about it? And I was like, okay, why not? I need to do something for fun, no pressure at all. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad, it doesn't matter. And I reconnect with a profession that I love without pressure, which sometimes it's very, very nice.
Right. I love that. So, I mean, the other thing too, though, Alex, is that, I mean, you've been doing this for a while. So it's not like this is your first time to the rodeo here. Like, you've been making films for years. So when you say to him, sure, let's have fun with it, let's relax, let's chill. I mean, you have an entire ecosystem ready for that. You know, you're not a young filmmaker where you got to start gathering things together and planning. Like, you already can click things in your brain, right, to just activate.
Yeah, I mean, when I was reading it, I was already, I mean, that's what you do, you know.
That's what you do.
As a director, you read something and you are projecting images, you are creating tones, and then if you connect with that, or it makes, or you feel attracted to what you're reading, then that's a very good sign. Some other times you feel kind of detached, and this did not happen with this, you know. I was already reading, and plus I knew a little. You
were like channeling at a high energy already at that point, you know, and you were already at a high energy, but you were looking for the high energy, but a little beautiful, positive, happy, light thing, and you got it. You got what you wished for.
Yeah. I feel sad a bit for Luis, because he was like, so he wanted me to edit, co-edit his big Netflix TV show, but then I was like, I really want to make the short film, but if I make the short film, I cannot be co-editing your show. And he was like,
I love it.
I know. So what are you gonna do? You know, I was like, I think I'm leaning towards making a short, and he was like, you know what? Do whatever you want. I'm not gonna get mad. I would prefer that you join my team. And
the money chain team.
But then I told him, you know what? I think for this time, I don't really need to go for 6-7 months to an editing room. I need to be, we say in Spain, the head of the mouse instead of the tail of the lion. You know, I don't know if that makes sense. To make something small, but I have no pressure, and that I can, manage and take my own decisions, than being, like a part of a big thing, which is already what happened. Even if I was directing it, it's what happens with Unicorns, that you are a director, but you are a part of something, And even sometimes for taking decisions, it's not always that easy to take decisions,
let me ask you about Unicorns. So I was actually, I was reading about this film, and it sounds really, really fascinating, right? It sounds completely wild. Can you talk a little bit about this because I read that it's about sex, drugs, and an Instagram post.
Right.
What does that mean? It sounds like wild.
Yeah. For me, it's about capitalism as well. As the masterpiece, it's about capitalism. The masterpiece is not the short film; it's the system, you know, and how the system is so evil that even shape us. Right?
You all know I'm all about that. I got it. Yes, I can't wait for this.
So unicorns was the same thing. The system puts a lot of pressure over everybody, especially over women, and you know, you mix that with social media. And it's pretty bad. And I'm not saying, you know, that I have nothing against the phones. I think, and social media, I think they are amazing tools. But on the other hand, there must be some education and responsibility towards that. You know, otherwise, if you put those tools in, you know, 15-year-old guys, and then they are 25, you know, they've grown with that. I don't know. And then it's a story about this girl, Isa, who is a little bit lost, and she works in a kind of a talent agency. She's a copy, but she wants to be a talent, but she has not much talent, right? So she was these campaigns, and another very well-known photographer gets those campaigns, so she's very kind of pissed and jealous. She's also polyamorous because she does not believe in monogamy because her parents are separated, you know, divorced, and that kind of created a trauma on her, so she does not buy the monogamy anymore. And the boyfriend, he's tried the polyamorous relationship for a while, but now he just wants to be exclusive, and she's not.
She's like, I'm not having that.
No,
sorry, babe, I'm not having that.
Exactly. And
I like having variety, multiple relationships. I like multiple pieces of action. I love it.
Yeah. So at some point,
I mean, I say this, of course, because you're a dad and I'm a mom, and like we just don't aspire to that. But I appreciate that you made a movie out of it. So now I gotta go see that too. So I'm really excited about this. So I also I was thinking about this. So I really love documentaries, and I know The Masterpiece isn't a documentary, but you've done so many documentaries, and like those are probably my husband and I. That's our favorite type of film. What is appealing to you about documentaries? That and my next question to that is going to be, now that you've won this award, are you going to like move away from documentaries? So answer my first question first. Like, what's appealing about the documentaries?
The process is different.
Is it?
It's completely different.
Okay.
With a fiction, you create
right.
something in your inner world, and you want to change the outside. You have to make the outside work for your piece, and everything is alive. You know, you have a set designer,
Everything's
actors.
alive.
You know,
Yeah.
you're trying to
Sure.
recreate that vision that you have in
Right.
the reality, and it's something that is not needed at the
Got
end.
it.
You know, so that's also tough for the director sometimes, because you have to. And this Lucrecia Martel was saying this actually, that you have to reaffirm yourself all the time, because that's not needed, and you are creating
Interesting.
this lie in the real world, right? It's still interesting, but with documentaries, the process, instead of going from inside to the outside, it's the opposite. Everything comes from the outside to the inside, you know, and you are more open. You are, you know, filming, knowing that your story can change, learning things. You know, I'm not saying that you don't learn things on the other projects, but it's kind of different. Also, the relationship you have with your subjects, it's very rewarding, you know, especially when you're tackling social issues. That's very nice.
So let me ask you a question about that. So there's some documentaries where you can see the director's eye really obviously. You can see the bias of the director. And I'm not sure, like, I haven't seen enough of your films, and this is the first time I've learned about you, and I'm already, like, I'm going to see them all now. I mean, first of all, my husband and I, we're obsessed with foreign films as well, but how do you prevent and resist bias when you're filming a documentary? Because again, I'm thinking about a recent documentary I saw, which was focused on the Beatles.
Right.
On Apple TV,
Right.
and this is not an ad for Apple TV at all. But it's one of the first documentaries I've seen that I feel like I didn't see the director in the film at all.
Right.
Somehow it was played out, and it just like you almost felt like you were there without anybody else. And I don't know how to do that. I feel like that's hard because you are who you are, and you film and you look out, and as you said, you're letting things come to you from the outside. But I do feel like there is something about your eye and your cinematography that might tell a story that isn't necessarily the story of the subject.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think it's very, very difficult to not affect the reality, you know. I mean, even these quantic theories, you know, the Heisenberg principle says that the moment you are observing an atom, the behavior changes. So if it happens in that microscopic, quantum environment, imagine what happens in the real life. So the idea that you are not affecting and that you are not putting yourself in the movie, for me, it's science fiction. For me,
Okay,
I
wow.
don't accept it.
I mean, you're blowing my mind right now. Seriously, this is great. I love it.
Because you are there talking with the subjects, and it's that they are not there with the inner selves, They are being questioned sometimes. Even if the documentaries I make, they are very test style. We try to follow this 60s style of being the fly on the wall, but that's also a lie, If the fly is in the wall, the fly is there as well,
Right.
So I like to follow them because it creates kind of a more cinematic style. You get rid of the talking heads, which is something that in my documentaries I don't like. And on the other hand, it gets a bit more difficult because you are hoping and you really want to ask that question, but you to tackle that thing, but you are just waiting for that to pop up. But when it pops up in a very natural way in conversations with all their peers and stuff, it's way more powerful.
Right, it emerges.
Right.
Wow, I love that. I mean, quantum physics. Oh my God, that's why you're a Fulbright scholar.
Oh my God.
That's why we got Alex a Fulbright scholar. Okay, so you also are the master of short film. You mentioned a minute ago you came off of a long form narrative, or what? So what's your situation between short and long form film? I mean, do you why are you so great at short films? I mean, let me just say this. I love short films. I love short stories. I've written songs on my records based on short stories I've read. So I'm obsessed with short stories and short fiction.
Right.
So what's happening with you in short versus long? Is that a complicated question for you?
No. I
Okay.
mean, short films, you don't need much help to make short films. We could get this phone now and maybe we can do it later and go make a short film.
Can we do it? I'll do it with you.
Yes.
I'm in.
You know what
I'm
I mean?
in. I'm gonna be a movie star. No, go ahead.
You don't need
Okay.
the infrastructure. You
Yeah.
need to make a feature film, right?
Okay.
So I like to convey stories, and I think short films is something that it's a little bit underrated. But sometimes it's even more difficult because you are explaining, a movie in 80, 90 minutes, and if there are parts that are a little bit so, you still have time to readdress and
Yes.
make the audience compelled or attached to the movie again. But with a short film, it's way more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's like trying to write like content for an X post versus content for a LinkedIn post. Like LinkedIn is like 10,000 words or something, and like X you have such a limit. And I know as a writer myself, it's easy to like put things out there and then you have to edit, right? You have to take it away. So sometimes you have to start somewhere from a place of edit to do a short film because you don't have time.
Right.
And that's harder. I mean, that's harder. So if you can, so how about you with the long form film? Do you feel like the process to go from short to long is okay? Like you can do it, and would you rather just be working on long films from now on, or not? Sure.
I mean, the thing is that you barely get money making short films, and you do get paid to make feature films. That's there is a difference.
I did not know that.
In there,
Okay.
In the past, like 15 years ago, you would get some money, not much, because especially in Europe and Spain, because you would get grants from. Even the city hall of the cities, they would screen your short film and you would get a prize, things like that. Sorry, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Doesn't happen anymore? Interesting. Wow. Okay. So you have a film called We Are Living Things. It was your writing debut.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct. It's directed by my good friend Antonio Tibaldi, and it's based on my short film Only Solomon Lee.
Right.
And it's also based a little bit on my documentary The Fourth Kingdom. We even used some of the same locations. But I co-wrote it with Antonio. It was something that since I made the short film, I had the idea to make, a feature version of that short film. There are short films that you can pull, and you can actually write something long, which is the case of this one.
And you directed this one too, correct or not?
I only wrote it.
So wait, let me understand something. So can you not direct films that you write, or was that your choice intentionally? You
yes,
did not want
because I think that happened there, and I understand. In Spain, you use the money from the government, right? But here in the United States, it's private money. So when I approach with a script, It's like, I don't know if we can trust you. You don't have any feature film made yet. And I was like, yeah, but I have the documentaries, you know.
Right.
So sometimes it's tricky. I hope that
Wow.
now the situation will change because I already have a different corpus. But I understand though, it's private money. They want to make sure to have a director that has experience. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the perception of doubt and uncertainty can drive me crazy sometimes here. You know, where people just don't believe what they see, and you gotta prove every single second of the way what you're doing. It's
Right.
just, you know, you gotta keep proving and proving and proving, and sometimes you still don't get there.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's still a no, and even though you're just like, I've laid out the gold standard for you. Like, aren't I good enough? Like, what's wrong? You know what I mean? So I love that story. So I want to ask you. There's a few more questions I want to ask you. So, did you grow up around filmmaking? Was there an artist in your family? Like, how did you get here? What happened?
No.
What's the story behind your emergence of this?
You know, my parents came from very humble families. My grandma didn't know how to read and write.
She did not.
My parents didn't go to high school or anything, so for them it was very important that we would go to college. You know, it's this projection of that the new generation has to be better in a way than the generation, the prior generation.
Yes.
Right? But the thing is, I was not a great student, you know, and I was skipping classes sometimes in high school. But when I was skipping classes, now I want to think that I was doing something that was kind of, you know, worth it.
How old were you then?
Like 15, 16.
You had thoughts like that at 15. I love it.
Yeah, and then I would go to the library of the Filmotheque, which is like 5 minutes walking from home.
Okay.
And I would sit there and I would watch movies, and I actually became friends with the guy, and he was recommending me movies, you know. So I discovered there the novel back, the neorealism, you know, all these things. And there was one specific movie that I was like,
yes, what is it?
I can do this. I mean, and
What movie was
it's
it?
gonna sound super pretentious, right? Because he's a great master. He's Chris Marker, and the movie was La Jetée. It's a 27 minutes movie that is made out with pictures, and there is only a blink that it's real image in the whole movie. The other thing is pictures, a voiceover, and it's a science fiction movie. Actually,
I'd like to see it.
The 12 Monkeys that Terry Gilliam directed
Yes.
is based on that movie, you know.
Oh my goodness.
And by that time, I made the connection because it was 2015, and I remember going to the theater to watch this other movie, 12 Monkeys. And then I kind of knew that I wanted to kind of create movies. I was good at painting.
Like, was it that moment that you knew, or was it your journey to that, and then that was like the, boom, I figured it out now?
There was something that I would like to do this. You know, still I was painting, and I wanted to get to the fine arts college.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I didn't pass the exam.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 days exam in which you had to, you know, paint something that they were showing, then make something. So I didn't pass it, and my parents were not very happy because they wanted me to be a lawyer, things like that.
Yes,
and
of course.
I want to paint, and they were very, very, very concerned about my future. And once that didn't work, I think they were happy that didn't work. And I was like, well, then I want to make films. And they were like, man,
yeah.
I mean, only rich people make films. What are you talking about?
That is
you're
funny.
crazy. And I made it work.
What'd you say?
I made it work. I started hanging out with friends, making short films. My mom sometimes was pissed because I was with the friends there until 4 a.m. in their apartment, you know, when I was 19. So sometimes she was like, okay, I want you all out of here, you know. I was like, no, we are editing, we're creating, mama. But at some point...
I love that story so much.
Yeah, they started to see that I got a job as an editor, and things kind of worked out.
So they started seeing that you were actually making something more than just, you know, an art person on the street with a tin cup. I mean, they were like, oh, so this actually is a thing, you know? And I mean, isn't like in Spain though, I mean, culturally, similar to France, isn't there a celebration of film and art?
Yeah.
So did your parents, did they not necessarily understand it in that way?
Exactly. It depends also in class. You know, I think culture, it's something, it's changing, but you know, like 20, 25 years ago, it's related also with class. You know, you can enjoy art if you have an okay economical situation.
Understood.
Otherwise, you have other priorities, right? And back then also, the economical situation at home was not working because my mom opened a kind of a grocery store that, you know, was creating debt instead of bringing money to. So it was not a good time.
Got it. So
and
she
they
was
were very concerned. But at some point, what I think they realized is that I was happy, which is something very important. I think that we put a lot of pressure in our kids to make them do all those things that we could not make, you know.
Yep, I do
and
know.
you just have to push them to be happy and see what are the things that they do well? Because I remember my parents being very frustrated when they were having their meetings with the professors. You know, one even said like, I don't know, I think your kid he should not go to college. Actually, he should work something related with architecture, you know.
Says the Fulbright scholar, you
maybe
shouldn't go to
some
college.
Tales there, you know.
You always got that one teacher that says they shouldn't go to college.
Yeah, so they were kind of frustrated because they didn't go to college, and for them that was important.
That's important, and it still is. I mean, it still is. You know, every student shouldn't go, but that's still, you know, kind of a big deal. But I really love that story. So I also want to understand. So, where did you learn to professionalize yourself in the film industry? Because I asked this question because many artists, it's impossible for them to be thinking about business at the same time. And how did you learn to do that? Did you have a model? Did you go to take a single business class, or what? Like, how did you figure out? I mean, even us sitting here, and you know, your wife was kind of working for you, and you have an assistant here, so there takes a certain kind of a mindset around that.
Yeah, you learn that unfortunately when you are older. Because
really? Okay.
When I was young, it was everything about passion.
Okay.
You know? And at some point you are like, yes, passion is great, but this is also a business.
Okay.
And we need to learn a little bit what are the rules for this business.
Okay.
And it's when you start thinking on how the system works and how others do to get the money to make the movies, and then you start copying them.
So what were you looking at that made you? Wait, did you make a mistake somewhere? And you're like, oh gosh, I got to figure this out, or did you actually like roll into it like, I know what I need to do, and you didn't make a serious grave error?
Right. I think that no, the mistake it's that I wish that I would have been cheekier earlier. You know, I think
trickier?
that there is.
Did you say trickier?
Cheekier.
Oh, cheekier.
I think that there is a change between Generation X, which I'm Generation X, and Generation Millennials and Generation
Yes.
C. That is that to us, they taught us that you will have to work really hard and your moment will come.
Yes.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
bullshit. You have to ask for it.
You have
know?
to ask.
And then I was 30 something and I start saying, hey, no, I mean, I already work hard. I've been 12, 13 years working as an editor, you know, making short films. The short films have been in these film festivals and they still don't take me seriously. I want to start asking for that. The difference is that you have these millennial guys that they are 21 or 22,
yeah.
and they, I'm not saying that it's bad or good, but they feel very entitled to say, no, I want this and I deserve this. I've been working here 6 months or a year and I want to rise, you know. I would have never thought of asking for a raise when I was 24, you know.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
So it's kind of different, and I think that for me that's been a mistake. If I could go back when I was 24, that I already had some short films that were in film festivals, I would have been like, hey, you know what? I have these scripts and I want this made, you know, and I'm gonna fight hard to have this made. But instead it was like, oh well, you know, no one is paying attention. I'm gonna keep making short films, and my moment will arrive. No, mistake.
Doesn't arrive. You have to really be intentional.
You have to work for your moment. No one is gonna show up, you know, with a magic wand and say, hey, here it is your moment. No.
You know, I noticed that about the 2024 Sundance Film Festival, Alex, compared to 2003. In 2003, I'm not suggesting you didn't have to work hard, but definitely opportunities would show up a little bit easier because there was no gatekeepers, there was no security, you know, like I said earlier. So there was less barriers. I mean, I remember back in those days, you know, you could pick up the phone and get the CEO of any company almost and just say, hey, I want to talk to you about business. And, you know, you could get in there and get a meeting. And now it's a lot harder. So I agree with you. I think that the younger generation that is working on developing films, they have to have some intentionality in their brain and some kind of business smarts or business minded in like some kind of way, some little bit. And the one thing I also want to ask you too, speaking of business, the ownership conversation. So what I'm noticing is that some people have an ownership mindset and some people don't. I know it's a little different in the film industry because you're dealing with really complicated distribution systems. If you can't get distribution, your film dies on the vine, like nothing happens. And so, you know, the industry still controls distribution. However, I am noticing, and these are really big superstars, right? You know, the really big superstars like Kevin Hart's got a production company, merchandise.
Right. Also,
he's got additional streams of income. Issa Rae just started her Prosecco company, right? And Tracy Ellis Ross, yes, I know, Diana Ross's daughter, and she's a supreme sublime actor anyway in her own right. And now she has you know, a hair company called Pattern Beauty. These are giants. I do believe that concept is possible with, you know, other filmmakers and artists. Like you can still have additional streams of income. What does that look like? speaking, merchandise, being paid to go to corporate offices and talk about how can you be a creative person? What do you need to do, Mr. Corporate, Ms. Corporate, things like that. Have you thought about that? Like, how do you? Because when you sell your film away, you're selling away a lot of rights, correct?
Correct.
You're keeping something royalties, and you have cue sheets and things like that. But what about the other money? I mean, you and I both have families.
You have to,
What kind of things do you think? And I'm asking not only for yourself, but for people that are listening, younger people that are artists. What can they do to come up with other ways to make money?
Yeah. Completely agree. When you are a director, and this is the way it works in Spain, you wrote a script.
Yeah.
And the moment that you find a production to produce that film, a production company that they are not gonna put money, they are just gonna go ask for the grants. You give all the rights for your script, and there's no way around it.
There's no way around it.
You won't find a producer in Spain that will tell you, I'm gonna help you produce this movie without giving me all the rights. You won't.
Okay.
A different thing is that you are a director and you create your own company, and then you go like, hey, I'm gonna partner with you, and let's see what percentage of the rights we have here. But as a single person,
Yeah.
as a physical person,
Yeah.
forget it. So
Okay.
you just give your work for free, and then with that, they try to shop it around to get money from the regional government, from the central government, and this is the way movies get made in Europe, not only in Spain.
Oh, okay.
Right? In the United States, it's different. It's private investors, and maybe you can negotiate it a little bit more. That I don't know, because I don't really know that much the American system. I'm starting to realize now that that you need a manager, because if you go and email someone, it's not like what you were saying in the past. They're probably not gonna answer back, things like that. So you need intermediators. That's what I'm seeing here, right?
Okay, interesting.
But I think that there is more leverage to negotiation in the United States than in Europe.
I'm just thinking and looking at your T-shirt. I don't know if this is a friend of yours, and don't
My daughter gave me this. I love it.
I love it, exactly. So I'm thinking to myself as I'm looking at this, like, I should have on my Honest Field Guy T-shirt. You should have on your name of your film production company, and we should be advertising our brands, and we should be saying, go to www.birkcreative.com and buy this merchandise, right? That's what we should be doing for these additional streams of income.
I agree.
And I think, you talk about having a business mindset, the ownership mindset, feeds into that. If you believe that you own your ideas and you own your creation, you can find ways to take that. And I know some people are like, oh, do we have to monetize everything? Yes, you do, as an artist. unless you're a venture capitalist or you're working at a bank. You have to monetize everything, because otherwise you'll be broke. You'll be broke, and you can't make the money to make your next project, right?
It's very difficult to make a living as a filmmaker. That's something.
So you gotta love it.
There are some lucky guys, that are in the right spot, or I want to think that they come from wealthy families, which is also, I have nothing against that. Lucky them, but if you are not in those positions, you have to make it work. I recommend, for instance, if you really like to make movies, being an editor, it's something that can give you, or an assistant editor.
Okay.
Can give you some good money, because at the end everything that we watch has been edited.
Sure. This isn't going to be edited.
This is not going to be edited.
No,
this
editing,
is against the system.
No editing. It's against the system.
This is against the system.
This is real grassroots filming here, people. This is this is not Alex's work. So I love this. This has been a really great conversation. I'd love to talk more sometime about the ownership mindset, because I do think that there is coming a time right now where people that make art, like you do and like I do with my band,
right,
and even with my other artistic endeavors, right? I think that more and more people like us are realizing, I got to figure out how to make other money that lasts to through my generation, and maybe something that I can make money while I sleep, or what does that look like? Should I put out a book on how to make a documentary? I don't know, because now that you've won this award, through Sundance, this major grand jury prize, it's a 2024 Sundance Award. Oh my God. Seriously, just yesterday. I just imagine that, you're going to get a lot more attention. You're going to hopefully receive a lot more opportunities and other calls, because even though you've been to Sundance before and you're an alumni, it's like, this is a big deal. So this means to me, how do you take this and say, how do I figure out how to make money with this? Like more money, additional money for my family. My first thought is I'm going to make t-shirts. I swear to God, I'm going to put like the masterpiece. I mean, that's a great title.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the title? I need to ask you that. My gosh, I almost forgot. Like,
it's a translation of the original title, actually Sandra, the wife of Jewish wives, my friend, I mean, she's also my friend. I think she was the one who came, because there was this brainstorm. She was like La Gran Obra, which translate like
La Gran Obra.
La Gran Obra translate
La
like
Gran Obra. Okay.
the great work. But but I was like, hey, no, guys. I mean, for the international version, the great work doesn't work.
I love the masterpiece.
So,
I love it because you know what? I'm a masterpiece. And so are you, right? Like it just like when you think of the word masterpiece, when you think of the phrase the masterpiece or even the word masterpiece, you have this idea of something beautiful and grand. It like like a movie's already heading through my head right now. I don't even know what's going on in your film, but because I'm going to watch it as soon as I can get my hands on it. So I just really love that. Well, listen, this is so great to talk to you, Alex. I really appreciate it. I'm grateful. I have a couple of basic questions to close this out. They're really simple.
Okay.
And I want to know, I feel like you already told me this though. This is like my question. Like, what is the number one film that made you feel something really deep as a boy? Is it the film you told me about earlier?
La Jetée, probably.
That's the one?
Yes.
You were just...
Yes, and then I was telling you, I like, back then when I was a kid, I like 12 Monkeys, because Terry Gilliam, I think he's a great director. I also like Unforgiven, because that was like the last film that I watched with my father in a theater.
Okay.
And I remember that experience of going to with my father to a theater that then, I don't know why it never happened again. It happened again with my movies, but not to hang out in a movie theater together. And I thought that, he didn't like it at all because he was like...
The Unforgiven, it's one of the greatest films ever.
But he was looking for something else, the kind of all Western,
Yeah.
And this was like the epitome of the Western when everything goes down.
Yes.
And there is no return, the last Western. And he would not understand that. But I was like, this is very interesting, You have this kind of badass guy saying, bring him water, and he just shot it, So he's changed. He's this kind of different. He's an anti-hero now, So
that changed. I mean, that actually, I believe that film is one of the films that changed the modern, cowboy, film. It sort of changed the tone. It was very groundbreaking for its time, and it impacted a lot of other filmmakers that were, in that genre. So my other question is. And this is so silly. What is your favorite candy? Or if you don't want to answer that question, what's your favorite go-to shoe brand, athletic brand, if you have one? Either that candy or shoe. Which one do you want to answer?
I can tell you both if you want.
I would like both.
Yeah, my nicest shoe brand is the Asics. There are different brands and models. I really like them. They're very comfortable. I love it. Giving them money now to them,
Yeah. Sort of, but
have to create a version.
This is not a paid commercial, people.
The masterpiece version of the Asics shoes,
I love it.
And the candy, I like chocolate. I die for chocolate, yeah.
Any kind of chocolate?
Yeah.
Do you have a famous, a chocolate bar from Spain that you love? Like,
whatever has nuts on it.
Any kind of nuts?
Yeah. Also because
pistachios, peanuts, cashews, walnuts, almonds.
Yeah,
okay.
I love it. Also because my younger, he's allergic to nuts, so I cannot have them at home. And then if I get one, I have to sneak it, sneak it in home, and my wife doesn't realize, or eat it outside.
Yeah, because you'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my middle son has an almond allergy, so I can't.
That makes it more, even
You're just like,
more.
I want the candy, exactly. I love this. Well, listen, thank you so much for spending time with me on my
Thank you.
show, The Honest Field Guide, Alex. Everybody needs to be on the lookout for the masterpiece by Alex Lora Circos. This is his first big, giant award from the 2024 Sundance Film Festival, the Grand Jury Award for Short Film. It's fantastic for you to be here. I'm glad I happened to be crossing into your greatness. And you can read a short bio about Alex by typing his full name, Alex Lora Circos, that's Cercos, into ChatGPT. Or you can search Alex Lora, just Alex Lora on Google for thousands of citations, including his profile on the imdb.com.
Yeah, you can do alexlora.com because there is another Mexican
guy
called
know.
Alex Lora. He's a great, musician.
Yes,
And
that's what came up on ChatGPT.
I have a very nice anecdote of traveling to Mexico to a film festival, and they came to pick me up, with the name Alex Lora.
Oh.
And I was like, hey, I'm Alex Lora. And they were like, oh. I was like, I thought he was going to be the musician, so I'm a little bit disappointed.
You're like, thanks a lot. Well, just they wait until they see what just happened to you.
Yeah, but alexlora.com, they find everything.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, ChatGPT is kind of iffy. Sometimes you put a prompt in there and it doesn't completely come up with the right stuff. So I put your full name in and then I got the right person.
Okay.
You'll get a simple bio, just a real quick bio, but Google actually gives you more of a rich, picture of who you are as a
Right.
filmmaker and all the different awards you've won. So listen, I'm JinJa,
I am Alex.
and we'll see you next time on the Ansville Guide. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.